Hey there, folks. Tonight, we're diving into the world of Disney, but not the one with singing mice and magical castles. Nope, we're talking about real-life courtroom drama, where Disney's legal team channels their inner Maleficent. Disney has been slapping lawsuits on anyone near their intellectual property. Small businesses, fan groups. If they smell copyright infringement, they unleash the lawyers. The aggression of their legal strategy has raised eyebrows. And that, my friends, is where things get really interesting. Now, before we get into Disney's legal maneuvers, let's take a trip down memory lane to understand Scientology's approach to litigation. Founded by science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology has long been known for its aggressive and, some might say, ruthless legal tactics. Their MO: silence critics, control the narrative, and protect their secrets at all costs. They've sued journalists, former members, and even government agencies, often employing a strategy known as strategic lawsuits against public participation, or SLAPs. These lawsuits are designed to intimidate and financially drain their opponents, regardless of the case's merits. One infamous example involves Time magazine, which published a critical expose on Scientology back in 1991. Scientology hit them with a massive lawsuit that dragged on for years, costing both sides millions of dollars. The case was eventually dismissed, but not before highlighting Scientology's willingness to use litigation as a weapon. This aggressive legal strategy stems directly from the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard himself. In his writings, he reportedly advised his followers to attack, always attack, and to never defend. He believed that any criticism, no matter how valid, was a threat to Scientology's existence. This philosophy translated into a culture of secrecy and paranoia within the organization. Members were encouraged to report any perceived threats or dissent, and critics were often subjected to harassment, intimidation, and, yes, lawsuits. Scientology's legal playbook became infamous, serving as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and the chilling effect aggressive litigation can have on free speech and criticism. Fast forward to today, and we see a similar pattern emerging with Disney. Now, let's be clear. Disney has every right to protect its intellectual property. They've created some of the most beloved characters and stories in the world, and they deserve to reap the rewards of their creativity. However, their recent actions go beyond simply safeguarding their trademarks. They've become increasingly aggressive in pursuing legal action against even the smallest perceived infringements, often targeting individuals and small businesses who pose little to no threat to their vast empire. For instance, they sued a daycare center for having murals of Mickey Mouse and other Disney characters on their walls. They went after a family for selling costumes inspired by Disney princesses. They even tried to copyright the term Dia de los Muertos ahead of the release of their movie Coco. Section 5. Parallels in the courtroom. Similarities between Disney and Scientology's tactics. Now, are we saying Disney is exactly like Scientology? Not quite, but the similarities in their legal tactics are striking. Both organizations have shown a willingness to use litigation as a tool to silence critics, intimidate opponents, and control the narrative surrounding their brand. Both have been accused of exploiting legal loopholes and employing aggressive legal strategies that seem disproportionate to the alleged offenses. And both have faced criticism for creating a chilling effect on free speech and creative expression. Of course, Disney's legal battles are primarily focused on intellectual property, while Scientology's have often targeted individuals and organizations critical of their beliefs and practices. But the underlying principle remains the same, using the legal system to silence dissent and protect their interests, even if it means bullying smaller players in the process. Section 6, public backlash and ethical concerns. A David versus Goliath narrative. This aggressive legal strategy has not gone unnoticed. Just like Scientology faced public scrutiny for its litigious nature, Disney is now facing a growing backlash over its legal tactics. People are starting to see the Mouse House not as a purveyor of magic and dreams, but as a ruthless corporation willing to crush anyone who gets in their way. The optics of a multi-billion-dollar corporation bullying small businesses and individuals are never good. It feeds into the David versus Goliath narrative, with Disney cast as the heartless giant crushing the little guy under its mighty corporate thumb. This perception is further fueled by the fact that Disney has been aggressively lobbying for extended copyright protections, essentially trying to maintain their grip on their intellectual property indefinitely. This has led to accusations of corporate greed and a stifling of creativity, as critics argue that extended copyrights prevent new artists from building upon and reimagining existing works. Section 7, the power of legal warfare. Crushing dissent and stifling criticism. The real issue here goes beyond Disney or Scientology. It's about the power dynamics at play when large, wealthy entities use the legal system to their advantage. They have the resources to hire top-tier lawyers, file endless motions, and drag out cases for years, often bankrupting their opponents in the process. This creates an uneven playing field where smaller entities, individuals, and critics are effectively silenced, unable to afford the legal battles required to defend themselves. The result? A chilling effect on free speech, criticism, and creative expression. When powerful entities can use their wealth and legal might to crush dissent and control the narrative, it undermines the principles of fairness and accountability that are essential to a healthy society. Section 8, the broader implications. Erosion of trust and public image. The long-term consequences of these aggressive legal tactics go beyond individual cases. They erode public trust, damage reputations, and create a climate of fear and intimidation. When a company like Disney, known for its family-friendly image, is seen as a legal bully, it tarnishes their brand and alienates their customer base. People start to question their motives and whether they truly have the best interests of their fans and consumers at heart. The same goes for any powerful entity that resorts to aggressive litigation as a means of silencing criticism and controlling the narrative. It creates a perception of arrogance, insecurity, and a lack of transparency, ultimately harming their reputation and undermining their credibility. Section 9, a call to action. Holding powerful entities accountable. So what can we do about it? We need to hold these powerful entities accountable for their actions. We need to shine a light on their legal tactics and call them out when they cross the line. We need to support legislation that protects free speech and prevents the abuse of litigation, such as anti-SLAPP laws. And we need to support organizations that fight for the rights of individuals and small businesses against corporate overreach. Most importantly, we need to stay informed, engage in critical thinking, and not be afraid to speak out against injustice. no matter how powerful the opponent. Because when we allow powerful entities to silence dissent and control the narrative, we all lose.